Ed's joined us. Ed's going to open up with a statement, and then you're free to ask Ed questions. Whenever you're ready, Ed.
Yep. Are we all set? I know this is a kind of a rush deal. Is everybody all set on your end, Arthur?
We're good on our end. And again, we will record this. It'll be in Christian's Dropbox if anyone needs to grab it from there as well.
Arthur, do I have permission to talk? You know, you're giving everybody permission like you're the Grand Poobah or some bullshit like that. You know?
No. I'm just the Grand Poo. I
got you. Hey, Bill, how you doing, man? Hey, smile, brothers. It could be worse, baby. It could be worse. Hi, everybody. Yeah, here we are. You know, I want to go back to, I'm going to say about three months ago, we talked about we're going to be prepared this year for whatever comes our way. We're not going to make any excuses about it. This pandemic and this virus is controlling us, and we said we're going to have a positive attitude. We're going to adjust. We're going to make whatever necessary changes we need to make in order to get through this season. And this probably won't be the first time. And I'm glad we're still playing. I think the kids need to continue to play for their own mental health. If you take away basketball from some of the players and some of the men and women around the country and send them home, I think some of our situations are much better with them being with us than in some of their situations, because some of our kids' situations are dire. So in saying that, it's unfortunate that we're going to miss our first two Big East games because they were two home games. And as you know, home games are crucial. We're excited. We were excited to play Xavier, who was playing as well as anyone, and preparing for a Connecticut team. But that's in the past. I don't know. We do have a floating game that we haven't used for a pause in a situation. Don't know if we'll use it. I need to talk with the Big East to see if there will be another game that they will add in there. But, you know, coming from our organization, we're going to be positive about this. This is an opportunity for us to continue to work to get better. This is an opportunity for us to continue to grow. You know, we'll play one another. We'll probably have an inter-squad scrimmage in that period of time. And if our next game is against Seton Hall, and that's what the schedule says, we'll be positive about it. Yet everybody around the country needs to know that this is in the best interest of all parties, you know, and we need to continue to play basketball. We need to find our way through this. Again, we talked about the rush to get to 13 games, and we talked about that earlier, if you guys remember that way back when. And I think we'll get more than that, but the overall feeling is we'll be prepared when the next ball goes up. So that's kind of my statement. I hope everyone's doing well. I'll miss the game tomorrow, but I'll be more excited to be with our players in practice and prepare for whatever team we're supposed to play next.
Ed, how much do you and your fellow coaches view this whole thing as collaborative? Because one team, you know, getting a pause obviously affects the upcoming opponents. So does it almost like mimic our society right now in a way where it's like, hey, we're sort of all in this together, even though you're fighting each other on the court? I mean, you guys all need to play games when it comes down to it.
Absolutely. Had an opportunity to speak with Travis Steele this morning, as well as Danny Hurley. And yeah, we all are on the same page. We all in it together, you know? And we have to understand when it does come for the NCAA tournament, it's not going to be fair. It's not going to be fair. You know, there's no kind of set formula on who's worthy and who's not worthy. Win enough games and you'll be worthy. That's, you know, the bottom line. So we're all in this together, and let's fight through it together, and let's argue together. Let's cry together and deal with it the best we can, you know?
Ed, you mentioned this probably, you know, is the first but won't be the last. It's happened across the country a lot. Is this one of those things you mentioned you're going to talk to the Big East, that you start maybe contacting other coaches or programs and seeing if they are available to try to set something up, or do you wait on Big East?
No, I mean, the protocol for that is, you know, the Big East will handle that, you know. So that's well above my pay grade. I'm not calling all these coaches in the Big East and ask them if they're available. That's not my job. I got to worry about the Friars. Let Val and Stu handle that, you know. I'm not getting into scheduling. No way. That's a bear. But, you know, they'll figure it out. You know, they all got PhDs up there. They're really bright.
Is this something where if somebody did if they did say, well, you can still play next Thursday, would that be something you want to jump onto and be ready to go at a moment's notice? Or
Well, we're in finals week, and that's something that I obviously have to run through our administrators here. We were scheduled to play a home game on Thursday, and that was touchy yet, because of the pandemic. We had to get as many games as we can in. But that's something that we consider if the school deems it right for our students.
thanks.
Ed, you mentioned a floating game. I imagine that'd be a non-conference game. Is that up to, obviously you're going to talk to the Big East about holes in your schedule. Would 1 week not be long enough? It's roughly 1 week before you play Seton Hall.
Yeah, we got to talk about that. That's a fluid situation because we don't know if we're going to be given another game or not as of this moment, as we're on this. So I don't know.
Yep.
We kept a game open purposely for something like this. And this is something that, myself, Kevin, and Brian Blaney discussed. So it could work. We'll just have to see. It's a fluid situation as this is literally hitting us over the head since 6:30 this morning.
And obviously you're not going to tell us who it could be against. Is that up in the air?
Yeah, I don't know who it could be. It could be against anybody. It could be against
Yeah.
the five of you on the screen. I don't know who the hell it's against. I don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Can Yanni play center?
Actually, I got Yanni playing the power center. I got Bill playing point guard. All right. We got we got Frank announcing. He can keep him at his seat. Frank, we got to keep you at your seat. Yanni's going to be the cheerleader. Actually,
I got bad knees.
And John Fant is going to be the head coach.
And I'm curious what Travis had to say. Was he apologetic? Was it just, everyone's going to, maybe bound to hit this? I'm curious what his tone was.
He was a little bummed. His team is playing really well.
Yeah.
Coming off of arguably one of the best performances in college basketball this year. 19 threes, the rhythm that they're playing with, the confidence that they're playing with. He was devastated for his young men, So, his tone was that of he gets it, he understands it, but at the same time, very disappointed.
And lastly, for me, as you know, there's been some talk about, a pause, a nationwide pause, a Big East pause. There's 4 teams right now who aren't playing, are not able to play. What's your take on that? And then if you can follow with what you said off the top, you clearly think there's no reason for a national not play. You think that it's worthwhile to continue this season?
I do. When you look at the big picture, unfortunately, where some of our men and women, it's more important for them to be here with their team, where they have obviously guidance, they have structure, they have food, they have nutrition, they have something to look forward to. I think a national pause, I just don't see it. The real world is dealing with stoppage in something, and if we have to pause for 14 days and 18 and 19 days, it still allows us to watch our players. It allows us to keep them in class. It allows them to have some familiarity with where they're at. I don't believe in stopping. I don't. I'd rather have our kids right here with us so we're here with them and their parents know we got their back. You know what I'm saying? A national pause to me, we got to deal with it. And we're dealing with it. If you would have said this 9 months ago, we had 8, 7, 6 games in, we all would throw a party. So, let's not overreact. That's just my opinion.
Ed, is this maybe a good time to reiterate to the players the importance of everything in being responsible and I guess for the entire team? And do you have a message with them, or do you talk to them about the protocols to make sure it doesn't happen to you guys?
We do it daily. Knock on wood. We've all been tested negative. The 25 of us that's in that tier 1. We talk about our mask wearing, and that's really important in wearing our gloves and, washing our hands and socially distancing the best we can. So, our kids are doing a really good job, and I'm proud of them for that. I'm really, really proud of them for that. So hopefully we continue to do that and continue to test negative.
Ed, what is the biggest misconception out there with this whole situation? Because there's all kinds of different things that it's fluid, hour by hour, day by day. What's the thing that we all don't see through a Zoom screen that you as a coach and your team are going through day in, day out?
The anxiety of what ifs. like, you know, the reality that I'm going to, you know, talk to our players in the next hour and a half about, guys, we don't know if we're going to play a game or not. We don't know if we just have to be emotionally and mentally prepared. So I would just say the anxiety of the players and of the coaches, but also being real with them, saying, hey, we may have to be shut down if we get sick, and we may have to shut down if an opponent like we're dealing with right now. And I think the real conversation is, let's not control something somebody else has to control, meaning control ourselves, control what we can control. That's our attitudes, that's our effort, and that's our, you know, emotional energy toward one another. That's what I'm going to talk to our players about, because that's all we can do.
And just to follow on that, can you just reflect on the fact that at least visiting with your guys, at, you know, people report what they report, but at no point have your players been concerned about the idea of, or entertain the idea of not playing, correct? I mean, the thought is they're playing.
Yeah, the thought is we are playing, and they're excited about it. And it's our job as the leaders and mentors of these kids to keep them excited, keep them engaged. And, you know, this is when you're real with your players, when you're real with your guys every single day and something like this happens and you've had the conversations around a possible pause, your kids get it. You know, your kids get it. That's why you got to be real with your guys.
Ed, you've dealt with pauses throughout, you know, the Big East, you know, a couple of buys during the session, exam break, you'll take a couple of days off for the group. How much is this maybe similar in terms of embracing practice and using this opportunity to self-scout and to get better before you move forward?
Well, this was normal right now for us, because in a real basketball season, we would be off until Saturday. So we would be off, you know, our last game was whenever, and then we would have like an 8 to 10 day break and play Saturday at noon, because there's normally exams on Saturday. So this is normal for us. So, you know, and this is where we normally make a big jump, because we are able to self-scout. The guys are not, you know, they're not going to a million classes. They're just preparing for a test or two or a paper or two, and they're not as overwhelmed scheduling wise with their time. So, you know, I'm going to use this as a norm. This is what we're accustomed to, and, you know, don't over embellish it. Rather, this is just our norm, and we'll go from there.
And one quick follow-up, how is Jair Davis progressing?
Jair's coming along. You know, he's dealing with, still has some slight headache. You know, it's been a slow process to get back, and he's slowly getting there. But I don't anticipate him being ready for a while.
Ed, as someone in the leadership, I would assume that you're accustomed to having answers for your players or for your staff when they come to you with certain questions. What has it been like during this when it is so uncertain? How are you able to, you know, consistently communicate to them when maybe you might not know what's going to happen the next day or the next hour?
Great question. I don't know if I got a lot of answers for them. I can tell you that. It's a great question. And I think, you know, just talking to them about being prepared if and when change happens. And that's, you know, being transparent with them. And at the same time, trying to keep yourself sane and trying to keep the players sane when something like this does arrive. You know, let's work on ourselves. You know, we have a long way to go to be a good basketball team. So we have a lot that we can work on during this time versus the woe is me. You know, let's work on our ball screen coverage. Let's work on our offensive efficiency. Let's work on our shooting. We haven't shot the ball well. So let's watch some game film of, you know, are we prepared to shoot? Are we taking high percentage shots? Are we playing inside out? Are we playing off of 2 feet? Why aren't we scoring more in transition? You know, let's work on our blockouts. So, you know, we got a long way to go to be a good basketball team, but this is a period of time where we can work on that and hopefully improve. Great
Ed,
question.
If I can jump in for a second. Couple of things. First of all, one thing responding to Kevin Mack, there is no NCAA discussion of a pause. I know that if it comes from a league that's different, just like we saw some sports in the fall didn't happen nationally, but the SEC and ACC played some of those other fall sports. I'm just curious, Ed, we did see a couple in the Big East, like St. John, Seton Hall are playing tonight. So they got matched up because UConn DePaul on pause. So one quick question is, what's the appropriate time frame? Is it 24 hours? Is it 48 that you'd like to at least have in advance if they were to do that with Providence, where you say, okay, you lost your opponent, let's just play. Is there an appropriate amount of time that you need for something like that?
I think 48 hours is fair. Us coaches, we're big on preparation, and it's not like, DePaul hasn't even played a game yet, so you don't even know what you would be scouting there. Butler's played one game. You don't even know what you'd be scouting there. We're so scout-based in league play. I would say 48 hours is a fair, but if we have to play within 24 hours, and we got to do what we have to do. The rush to get to 13 is important. I think we'll play more than 13 games, but at the very bare minimum, we got to get to 13 games.
So the last thing also, I'm just curious, that was your first real quick travel trip, I would say, with TCU. Obviously, Asheville was different because you were there for an extended period of time. They had controlled testing and all that. What was this travel experience like? Because this would mimic more of a Big East where you're in, you're out, in a quick amount of time. I'm just curious how that went.
I thought it was really smooth. What I was appreciative of is because normally on a trip like that, we would probably have anywhere between 75 to 100 people. So the tier 1 group that traveled, I think it was 25 or 26 of us, it was efficient. It was easy in and out. The ballroom that we ate in and meet in was a little bit bigger, so the distancing was really good. Our testing, when we got right back yesterday, we had scheduled testing. Then we got tested again today. Because there's not a lot of in-person media after the game, we were able to get in and out really, really quick and get back to the plane. So from the time we played, I think the game ended, I would say around 7 o'clock East Coast time. I think wheels were up by 8:15 leaving Texas, and we landed at 11:38. So it was really easy in and out. Hopefully the weather continues to cooperate with us. So it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all. It was much smoother, much quicker than I thought.
Ed, you mentioned you've been dealing with this since 6:30 this morning. What was that initial phone buzz, phone call, text like for you? What was going through your mind? You're like, oh no, is this us? Or what was that like for you?
Well, I would get from our medical staff before I heard from the Big East. When Stu called this morning, I knew it wasn't good. He wasn't calling to tell me Merry Christmas or he was sending some chocolates for Christmas. That's for damn sure. I'm like, okay, something's up. And then when we got that, and then, a couple hours later, speaking to our athletic director, Bob Driscoll, he and the UConn coach had spoken, and he delivered that message from them. You got to take a deep breath. In all honesty, I went for a really good run. I went for a great run. Not a marathon run, Andy, not a marathon run. But, walk, crawl, jog is what I call a great old man workout for me, just to get able to think on how I want to approach my team. Because, my message is going to be important to them.
And just to follow up, I remember after the TCU game, you mentioned, down in Texas, not a lot of masks. So after the testing that you've had since that trip, just to clarify, everyone's negative and everyone with the Friars has tested negative.
Got another test today. Hopefully tomorrow we get our results. But so far, so good. We're 100% healthy. We're together, and we're looking forward to practice today at 3 o'clock.
Great. And one final note, just to clarify again, this next game, this floating game, might be a non-conference or definitely is going to be a Big East game, do you think?
We do have one more non-conference we can play. Don't know who, don't know when, but that's an opportunity. If we can play a conference game, I would prefer to play a conference game over a non-conference game.
Gotcha. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you, Ben. You're on mute, Arthur.
Any more questions for Ed?
Well, I really appreciate you guys in a short period of time. I know you all have busy lives and have families. Thanks a lot for taking time for us. I really do. I appreciate that. And hopefully we got some games really soon.
And we don't have anything going on. Come on.
Well, it's nice out. If there's nothing on the ground, get your golf clubs out, right? Or get some eggnog and spice it up a little bit. Watch Christmas Vacation. Eddie? Great movie right now. Enjoy your eggnog, man. I love you guys. I appreciate everybody.
See ya.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Thanks,
Arthur,
guys.
thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Arthur.
See ya.
Yes.